Hex inflates.
A lot, actually, quite a bit. Granted, it's mostly paid out to the holders, the stakers, but still, there's inflation. PLS deflationary, Pulsex deflationary, Inc inflationary. So you look at it just from a token dynamics perspective, you're like, well, I still get all the benefits of being like an RH token, right? I'm still like validated as participating in this giant community of people, but now my token's not inflating, it's actually deflating. That's just better tokenomics. That's just better, right? And if you really care about yield, okay, you can go do that. But I'll tell you what, guys, honestly, LP pays pretty much as good as staking. I'm sorry, but it just does. And it's way more liquid. You can control how many days, which pair you're LPing. You could LP a bunch of different stuff with PLS if you wanted to. You can LP PLS, PLSX, PLS Hex, whatever you want to do. And you're going to see that it pays like pretty much just as good. And far more liquid, far more optionality. Just, I mean, yeah, so it's not that Hex. There's not anything wrong with the product. Like, it still works. It's great code. I mean, for its time, it was absolutely like an innovation. It served like a real need. Like, people really wanted this, like this passive yield. But yeah, the market's changed. Like, people, kind of figure stuff out, and tastes change. Preferences change. Now you have coins that have the same pedigree with no inflation, deflation. It's like, well, maybe those coins will do pretty good too. So I wouldn't forget about it. But just know that, yeah, like, and if you want to stake out for like 5 years, 10 years, that's your prerogative. I've always told people, don't do that. Don't stake out 15 years. It's senseless. Don't do that. We don't even know what blockchain is going to look like in 10 years from now. Just don't do that. You don't need to. You're better off doing like 3-5 year stakes. Okay, you're not getting the super optimal, like, biggest bonus ever, but if everybody knows that the 15-year stakes come out at a certain time, like, everyone's just going to sell before that. Like, you're going to be, by the time they come out, you're going to be waiting for people to come back, buy back in again. So, like, you get a 15-year stake, then you're waiting another, like, 2 years for, like, the money to be back in the system. I just don't like that. I don't like anything about that. Provide LP. You'll do better. You'll make more. Obviously, you have to provide LP at the right times, but yeah, at least you have kind of like the options there. So Myron Gaines from Fresh and Fit bought his ETH at 1,800. Why would our guy, who's like a genius, been in crypto forever, knows the game? Why would our guy wait to 3,800 if he never intended to do anything with that with the funds? Like, no, of course he does. I think he absolutely does. I don't buy the Rockham narrative that, oh, he just doesn't want Rockham to get all the money. Like, listen, Rockham's gonna do whatever Rockham wants on people like this. It is not, you're not going to win. If he's happy and he sees a future in Pulsechain and he just decides to take profits along the way over years, as opposed to just like, first year, let me get out half my bag. I mean, he's the guy who made the top. As soon as I saw his wallet sell, like, that was my trigger. That was when I was like, okay, like, this is very close to being over. Because he's not someone who like exits through liquidity and does all that stuff. No, that guy does like a test hit, 300, 400K, and then just starts dumping 1.5 million. That's his style. That's what he does. He puts a big red candle on the chart, like a big Q to everybody. That, like, what he did from the top, like, absolutely wrecked the chart. He could do that for another like 2 to 3 years at that scale and still have pulse. Like, that's how much he has. So why not make the guy happy? Just keep him happy. Yeah, like, what people don't realize is that if Rockham leaves, you need to find another Rockham. There's always a Rockham. Always. He never goes away. It's either him or it's someone just like him. It doesn't go away. Like, you just need that. Or you need like 100 people, that are willing to put in, still very substantial amounts of money. But now you have 100 different players. And who knows what they're gonna do? They could be working together. They could not be. They could. I mean, who knows? So yeah, unfortunately, like, it's just part of the game. It's better if your whales are happy.
The gas fees, I think it was the picture he posted, 3 hours ago. But between the Ethereum and Pulsechain fee, Pulsechain was designed to lower the ETH gas fees. But I was kind of just curious on how the gas would work if the price of PLS starts going up. And I feel like it was a conversation people had a while back. But after Richard posted that picture, I was kind of curious how it's like 5 PLS to send native and coin approval, but then Does it change as the price of PLS starts going up? Does it affect the gas? Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe you can bounce off of that or something to
Yeah,
talk
no,
about.
no, you're absolutely right. See, that's the thing about the whole low gas fees narrative too, is that it's lower now, but the price of PLS is just so much lower. You got to also kind of factor in, so they have different supplies, right? So essentially, not only is the gas lower, not only is the price of PLS lower, it's also there's way more PLS in existence, right? It's also like there's a much greater supply. Like there was like an adjustment. I don't remember if you did like 1,000,000 to 1 or something like that. So yeah, but basically, if you just think about it in terms of price, if the price of PLS was equal to the price of Ethereum, the gas fees would be insane. They would be way higher than Ethereum, way higher. But when is PLS going to be $2,500, right? That's not really that realistic. So it's got a lot of room to run before it gets anywhere close to what Ethereum fees are. Like, I'm pretty sure PLS could get to like a cent or so. I gotta remember, we're at 4 zeros right now, right? It's like 403. So like even to get to a cent is, those are massive, 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 massive gains. Like here, I'll tell you exactly. I'm not even sure I could get it on the chart actually. Let's see what it would be. Yeah, so to get PLS to a cent would be 300,000%. Just to kind of put it into perspective. So yeah, obviously, like, people say, oh, if it's the same price of ETH, well, yeah, but the same price of ETH is like millions and millions, probably like 1 billion% or something higher. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. But yeah, if you think like 300, if it went to a cent, it would be 300. Let me just make sure I'm reading that right. No, sorry, it would be 30,000%. Yeah, it'd be 30,000%. So you could kind of take the fee that it is right now and multiply it by, right? So if it's 5 cents, what's 5 cents times 300? Probably kind of similar to Ethereum gas fees, right? At a cent. But the thing is, there's a lot of room to run. Fundamentally, it's the same. That's the thing. What they could change. So Ethereum has also kind of changed. It's also kind of able to change what the validators get for transactions. So I think what Richard's argument is that, like, well, at the end of the day, if the gas fees get too high, we have control over that, and we can just kind of set them back to something more reasonable, right? So yeah, but realistically, until PLS does like 30,000%, the gas fees are going to be cheaper. It's just the same exact. It's a fork of Ethereum. It's just that simple. So one day they could be the same. Like if you had the same amount of capital on Pulsechain as you do on Ethereum, you would have about the same fees. There's nothing in there that would make it different. They have control over the mechanism, so they could always just set fees to whatever they want them to be. I'll tell you honestly, like I don't know how anybody's a validator on Pulsechain. Like I think every single validator on Pulsechain loses money to run a validator. I don't think a single one of them sees. I don't think they even cover like energy costs. Be totally honest with you, so maybe the validators should make a little bit more, but yeah, fundamentally it's still Ethereum. It's the same thing, so it could be the same. I think it has like many years of being much cheaper though. So here's the thing, man. It's just like, is it a good narrative, right? Like, if you tell people that it's got really cheap fees, like, do people care about that? Well, the fees on Solana are really cheap too. you know, the fees on Tron are much more expensive. Like, they're like $1 or $2 as opposed to a penny or two. So does that prevent people from going to Tron? Well, Tron does $20 billion of settlement a day, or whatever that stat was that Justin read out. It just kind of turns out that people don't care about fees that much. The idea that any funds are going to come into the chain, you're basically resigning yourself to the fact that no funds, like the chain will not be capitalized at all until ETH is at 4K again, which could be when? Next year? June next year. I mean, then why are we sitting here on Pulsechain? What's the point? We're essentially waiting for someone with more money than Richard, I guess, to come and buy the chain out, which sucks, right? Like at some point, it's safer if Richard is the one who acquires these lower prices. I mean, imagine if someone else did. Like, we would just be beholden to that buyer forever. Right? I mean, think about it. If someone else came in and just bought $100 million of this chart right now, they would own Pulsechain. Like, hands down. Like every bit of money that would come into Pulsechain for the next like year or two or more would just be easily redeemable by that person, right? They would capture the chain. I mean, good thing like no one is crazy enough to go put $100 million on Pulsechain. But yeah, that's the problem with it, you know? If Richard kind of layers in his buys with that other big buyer that's coming in, at least like there's some sense of stability and control. That's why he has to do it. Like it's not even just so much as like, oh, it'd be nice if you pumped our bags. Well, it'd be nice if like you know our if the chain didn't get sold out to someone who like we have no idea who it is, what their intentions are, and it's just essentially like you're breeding another Rockham. That's all it is, and that person might just want to destroy the chain. That's it. You gotta remember, like, Pulsechain is a competition to Ethereum. That's why those guys don't like us or don't like Pulsechain. It's competition. Like, Bitcoin guys don't even really like Ethereum guys. Why? Because it's competition. Like, when they want every dollar that comes into crypto to go to Bitcoin. But now, some of it's going to go to ETH, some of it's going to go to Sol, right? And so, if you can take out a competitor early on when it's cheap to do so, like right now, it's cheap. Like, you know how many billions of dollars it would take to like take out Solana? Like, I don't think you could even really do it. You know, so yeah, if someone just wanted to say, yeah, we don't want Pulsechain to exist, we don't want it eating up market share, we're just going to acquire the whole chain, right? It's cheap to do it right now.
Really misrepresents my friend who like did take his house money and like buy Hex and is down now, 95%. So like Mikey was in massive profit on day 1, 2, and 3 of launch. He was in massive profit in March. He wasn't down. Like, so, I looked on chain for that one. I have the receipts, but out of respect, I said I wouldn't publish it. Like, you have to put the pieces together like I did if you want to see that one. But yeah, I got the receipts on that one that I personally can say I verified that.
Maddie, I'm about to tell
So
you something, and I might not
Shouldn't
tell
that
you.
be a conversation though? How many OGs were told to dump by selling their houses at the high of Hex so they could buy another house and not pay taxes on that sale?
Did they get trapped?
No. Maddie,
I mean,
you'll never hear this from me
what's up?
again, possibly, but you're right. He did. Richard did take the money from looking on chain. He did take the money from Spark.
Yeah, because like that I could have gotten a better trade on. So I mean that's what I think.
Yeah, 182 days ago, he was moving 10 million. Let's see, 10 million.
What is that? Is that March? 6 months? That sounds
Let me
about right.
click on it. Yeah, let me click on it real quick. Yeah,
I've
but
been going down for 6 months.
March 6th, 2024. Right
Yeah.
here, $4.3 million dive from Spark withdrew. He withdrew it, and then there was 10 million, and then millions and more millions and more millions.
So so you had a pump from the OA exactly, well, and others of course, exactly up to the Pulsex sac rate, and then people sold. But like that was a test. That was proving a point. That was a top for Bitcoin and Ethereum too locally. And yeah, so I mean, I don't think the OA could be like really proving anything more certain than like imagine the 5D chess you have to be playing to shake out Rackham and not shake out like other people. It's pretty deep. I mean, we're gonna see if I'm right because
Couldn't be something simpler,
selling.
like someone else is managing that account and they misinterpreted the market and they thought that the ETF for ETH was going to pump?
Well, it certainly could be, but I would also point to the fact that Richard doesn't like get the top and the bottom confused. Like, like we can argue, but like his Rolex top call was very clear on the day. You can say his Bitcoin call in 2021 was like, one of the double tops. You can say, but he's called every top and bottom pretty clearly in my mind.
Yeah, but
And
one
so
thing is
for
calling
him,
it. One thing is like dropping the market and losing 50% of your
But
back for no reason.
But it is for a reason, because there may have been some calculus that it's cheaper to get Rackham out at lower prices when ETH is going to go back up anyway. It's kind of like impermanent loss, but you don't take the loss.
And ID, we know how
Right.
these
Yeah, but then he's
influencers
going to have to
follow.
take the next decade of like he bought the top of ETH.
Yeah, it's gonna be right.
Well, do you guys think ETH is going to 16,000, or
I mean,
do you
No, it
think
might go to
it
1,000, might go
already
less.
topped?
You know,
This cycle, like in the next year and a half.
But if it goes to 7,000, everybody's gonna be like, hell yeah, what a smart trade.
what if it's
Sure.
2017 though, and then we're going down to like 1500 now? You know,
I
like
mean,
2019, where
I
everybody was like expecting it to go back up to like the top of December 2017, and then it got stuck at 14,000, and it just kept dumping.
I'm gonna be here and see like what happens. But for me, it's like Rackham can sell to me now at these prices. Yes, 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 yes.
So, take it for whatever.
Yeah. So the rumor was just that like it could have been the make or die. Realized he had too much voting power, and so even though he was testing it out and everything, that there's an excuse basically. But then if I'm thinking about it now, it's like, well, he needed an excuse to buy the top other than I'm obviously trying to trick Rackham. So that's a pretty good excuse. It's like go into the knowing basically I can go into the Dow shit, look like I'm causing a problem. I mean, at this point, it's like is stranger than fiction what's happening? I don't know,
Is he
but
still going to get the airdrop? Is he
yeah,
still going to get the airdrop for that first set, or did he have to complete it to hit
that I
24?
mean it was speculated, yeah, that there could be like rewards, and people were trying to interpret it at the time as like, oh, he's just going to like earn yield and then buy pulse chain assets until the SEC thing is over. But then there was buying beyond, I think, what was earned in yield, and then everything was switched over to ETH. And so it could be that he really was too powerful and they really were gonna screw him, or it could be that that was just the cover story for shaking out Rackham, which is my favorite twist. So,
Patty, would
man,
you
we're definitely getting a second documentary out of this.
would
Definitely.
you take a $200 million loss to shake out somebody?
It depends. How much do I get to save?
Well, I mean, your whole ecosystem's down, so it's $200 million capital plus your whole ecosystem is probably down another 200 million, so
But
400
that's an
million.
impermanent. It's an impermanent loss. It's an impermanent loss if I know, quote unquote, know that it's going to 16K.
Yeah,
It's
no, but
not
I'm
a
just saying
loss. It's not a
you
loss
wouldn't
till
use
you
your
sell,
actual
though.
bag. You wouldn't use your actual bag to shake out somebody. You just take the coins that you already own and dump the price.
It wasn't. It was our bag.
Yeah, which wouldn't be a good move to kind of hard thesis.
I
Well,
mean,
it already
look,
happened regardless. So
it's they like I'm judging the behavior off of like many years of observation of like this one data point of buying the top with with like in such a public way. It just I don't buy it. I don't
I
buy
think
it
it was I think
yeah.
it was the MakerDAO protocol. I think it was such
Okay.
a harsh, like, even with the slippage and everything, the way he order executed everything. I think he probably was in the back doors with Maker, and Maker was talking about doing some type of fork to get him out of the ecosystem. Because there's a couple podcasts out there where they're even talking about how he's the biggest holder, like,
Yeah.
of DAI and everything. So I think they just wanted to pretty much shake out him, and the best thing to buy is ETH, right? Because even like if you just wanted to set up limit orders with that bag, it would have been a way better order execution. I think, like, I don't remember how much he paid in slippage. It was like 180,000 for just like the way he hit the order book so much. I think that's what it was.
But I mean,
And even to speak publicly, I would say that's a better story than to say like he's trying to shake somebody out, because that just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. If you like Rackham or
Yeah,
you don't, you just don't put that in the public.
I agree with execute there. Nice call, bro.
like I agree with you as well. It's yeah, that's not the best marketing story.
But it
I
is a story.
I mean, but that's going to be in the past
You're the
if
one telling it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I care about the truth more than marketing.
Well, it's
Like
a like
I think people aren't going to care about any shit if it's new all-time highs in all of our coins and there's new people who are coming in like, who the fuck's Rackham? Like, I'm here for the green candles, thank you.
So you're talking
You
about
know.
the two biggest people with the two biggest holdings in the whole ecosystem. And you're talking about now, like you're presenting the situations and not the best. Okay, and I think
And with
execute
these guys'
laid
bags,
out a better way. Yeah.
you guys gotta understand that the way order execution works. Think of it in early ETH terms. If you had a bag of ETH at whatever it was back then versus now, you can't even take your. I mean, you can take it and just dump it for USDC because there's enough liquidity. But even then, like if you're holding a bag of 250K ETH, you cannot dump that. There's
Yeah,
just
not one.
you're gonna kill the order books everywhere, and you got to spread it out, and you have to find liquidity. So for Rackham to have a big bag and this and that and whatever, he still has to build on the ecosystem, and he has to build like some type of thing where he can bring liquidity in and then siphon, because the bag is just too big to keep hitting the order book. There's no liquidity over here. He has to find
It outweighs
some
it.
type of utility.
They do, but for
capital in.
ETH, they like Rackham can do ETH trades over the counter with like Wall Street now. So.
I'm talking about with PLS, like his PLS
Okay.
bags. Like he's
So-
gonna have to. I think that's why
Yeah,
those guys went so heavy into. I mean, not so heavy, but a little bit heavy into that Titan X. It was just because it's free liquidity if you're early, and it's extra exit liquidity to put like into other markets. And if you have a big enough bag, it just sucks. I think they got caught off guard with what's his name's backdoor there, where he has like the switch to do the buy and burn.
Yeah.
So they're probably pissed about that, but whatever.
Well, so maybe some of you guys follow Rackham's wallets, like, or heard about it more than me. So, like, how much, like, is he out 50%? Is he out 75%? Like, I know it's hard to tell, like,
He hasn't
whether-
sold anything of his
Yeah,
own.
he probably has all that in separate wallets. That we probably only see like the public stuff.
Yeah.
Well, somebody's selling.
Yeah, we,
That was like a super controlled, like 3 to 5% every day for like 10 days or whatever it's been. Like,
remember
Wouldn't
when he
RH
came into
just
spaces?
incentivize everybody to sell?
Remember when Rackham came into spaces early on and was like, "We're never selling. We're never selling."
yeah.
I guess that's
You
what
guys
he
think
told
that
Render
he
and
just,
Substratum also.
Yeah.
No, he did. He did it. He went in. He actually did a space where he explained that those two things failed. He said they failed. Like the projects you're talking about, Trav.
104
just another.
weeks.
It's 2 more 52 weeks. It's 2 more 52 weeks. I mean, I think execution of what he said was better than I think than Maddie. Like RH trying to dump to shake a racket. Why would, and even the numbers and trying to pull that much money out of a ecosystem doesn't even have the like liquidity in it. Basically, yank. It's tough go.
So are you saying like what's a better story, or like what's a better
No,
like,
it's actually happening.
Okay.
Truth and truth. I want
And
truth, not stories.
so you think Richard accidentally bought the top in ETH because of like Maker?
No,
That could be.
I just want to buy some ETH to get out of Maker because they wanted to
Okay.
shake him out of Maker.
Yeah.
And
Because
he
of
went
Maker
bought ETH,
bullshit.
and it's like ETH. Well, because ETH is going to go up no matter what. It's what if you're going to hold? Well, might as well. Okay, they're going to kick you out of
If you
die
look-
because you got too
if you
much
look at
die,
the
bro.
past,
You got too much die. They don't even want you there. Yep.
True.
Yeah, to get voted out of DAI, it's very easy because you have to own Maker. Owning DAI only gives you privileges,
Exactly.
but it doesn't give you the actual.
There you
voting
go.
rights.
That's
There
what we
Own
used to
Maker.
say, bro. Like in 21, we kept telling everyone, let's get into
Wait,
Maker, and we
reset
get
that.
to control the vote. We get to control the
Gotta find a
vote on
Maker, baby.
Ethereum and on Pulsechain, and then we screwed up on that.
That's a mess. I messed up.
So he couldn't have
Well,
just.
because at that moment, remember on Pulsechain, it would look like I was chilling some other, because we were only talking about Hex, and then we would talk about future strategies on Pulse. But we were talking about other ERCs. That was like an auto shutdown. That conversation.
We're learning now, though.
But you remember, like when we were saying, like, hey guys, like everyone that's coming into the voice chat is saying that their great, brilliant strategy is gonna be buy Hex at 3 and 5 pennies, dump it at $5. And have all this capital to go through the fork. Do you remember that? And I was like, all right, we're going to need to get like, quote unquote, the second best ERC through the fork. And then the second best ERC through the fork, it ended up being DAI, or the first. Because then DAI on Ethereum held the peg. So held your purchasing power on Ethereum. Then you could buy more Pulse as the price was going down. Then you could buy it in August. And then you got a pump in DAI and PDAI. But in my opinion, the 3 coins should have been in order. Should have probably been DAI, Hex, and Maker. You know, like we should have been loading instead of like giving $50 million to liquid loans. We should have been putting $50 million in buy orders into DAI and Maker, bro. Because if we would have put $50 million into DAI and Maker pre-fork, instead of giving it to these value extractors, we would have money pre-dip, purchasing power on the Ethereum side, and then as the price goes down, we start bridging money in, and we're buying dips. I guarantee you, we don't hit the 4 zeros. Because when do
you guys remember? Go ahead.
But he owns a lot of ETH.
Do you guys remember when the OA like stopped USDC from depegging or whatever, when there was like those bank failures?
Oh yeah,
that
March
one weekend.
March of 2023. Hell yeah, liquid loans lost $1 million
Yeah.
that night.